here in the historical center of Amsterdam, one of the most beautiful canals of the city. It always has been a center of world trade. It is no surprise that Michiel Alexander Ansing, long time ago, decided to establish his business right here, at this point just 5 minutes away from Central Station. We're gonna look at this warehouse, and it's filled with vintage and antique, handmade custom jewelry stones. I've heard it looked like Alibaba's cave, so let's take a look.
My list of needs is really quite brief. I need a man who can bring my relief from all the stress and strains of the day with just a tiny stroke.
Hello.
Hi Arnold, welcome to DeLuxe warehouse.
So this is the warehouse.
Yes, these aisles are aisles and aisles upon aisles. All these are special handmade stones. These are the antique opal stones, about 1950s, most of these here. All organized by color, shape and size. So you can get a good impression of how many stones are here stored in the warehouse. This is some of the Japanese products that were made right after the war. Actually, it says occupied Japan on it. Carved flowers, as I like to call them. They're all tissue wrapped by the dozen. Actually, the label says Cherry brand, made in occupied Japan. So this was the time right after the war. It actually probably helped build up the economy of Japan after the Second World War. Let's see if I can find something very interesting. Well, here. These are called Harlequin opals. They are, yeah, each one is wrapped in, but as you can see, they're quite beautiful stones.
Fits with my suit.
I think absolutely. We can make this into a pair of beautiful cufflinks for you.
How do you acquire such an amount of stones?
Well, in the 1980s, I used to live in New York City. And during that time, a lot of the renowned and famous jewelry houses of the 1920s, 1930s and 50s were all closing down due to the stiff competition from the Asian producers. So this is one of the factories where some of these stones came from, a couple hours from New York. This is a picture from the 1950s, and during that time they had 4,000 people working there making only cufflinks and men's accessories. I always had a love for beautifully made things, so I seized the opportunity to buy some of these stocks from some of these companies. And over the years, I have bought out many of these renowned American jewelry manufacturers and stockpiled them here in my warehouse in Amsterdam. These are actually some of my favorites. These are two-tone stones. These are after the war, made in Germany. See, they have already a foam layer in between, but as you can see this. See, they're very. If you clean them a little bit, they're beautiful shiny stones, two-tone stones. Actually, all these had to be reboxed because these stones came in very old packages. Many of them, you would touch them and they would fall apart in your hands. So many of these warehouses that I cleaned out, so the stones were all mixed and on the floor. So there was a lot of work organizing all these stones.
I can imagine.
After moving them. These are German-made stones, and they will all be meticulously hand-painted. Sapphirine stones. These stones have a quite interesting history. These stones are made with lead vapors, and the people that made them probably died because the lead is extremely poisonous, and these stones are no longer being made. So they are very sought after by people because they can never be reproduced anymore. See, it says sapphirine. This will give you an idea. These are a greenish blue, very sought after stone. These were made with tin vapors and other toxic metals to achieve this color. Actually, none of these stones are made in the United States. They are made by European craftsmen that have been making glass since the 14th century. And at that time, the early 1900s, the American market for bijou glass components was the largest in the world. So a lot of these experienced craftsmen started making things for the American market. These are also sapphire stones. As you can see, they're very old packaging, probably 1910, 1920s or so. It says Nordlinger and Son, Precious and Imitation Stones, Washington Street, Providence. As you can see, these are all hand-cut sapphire stones. Very unusual color, very beautiful shine to them, and very old.
All these stones are handmade, you said.
Yes, they are indeed made by hand, and they're not made by a factory. These are mostly made what they call in German Glashütte. These are small, mostly family-operated businesses, produced in people's shed or in the back of their house. Each one of these families producing their own style and their own, having their own technique of producing these stones. And these American merchants that would come there would buy these stones and bring them back, and sometimes order specific size and shapes for their customers back in the United States. Adolf Meller, Gablons, and Paris. But you see, the importer is the Adolf Meller is the company that's the importer in the United States. But the origin of these stones are Gablons. And of course in Paris they used to sell things like this too. These are quite interesting stones. They're made by hand, polished in the back and drilled in the front with 4 holes so you can attach a piece of metal or a finding to the glass piece. These are all very special opal stones. These came from the sample room from one of the companies. They're all very special technique with silver foil and real gold. I've never seen these before, so I was very happy to find these.
But what do you do with them besides collecting them?
Well, initially, of course, I bought them because I have a love for beautiful things, and I thought they were amazing. And I decided later on to make jewelry out of them. And this place here also serves as my showroom for the products that I made. Yeah, these are some of the pieces that I make with the materials that you see here in the aisle. There's a lot of different designs. But I soon realized that I had acquired so many pieces that would take me many lifetimes to use up all these materials. So recently I've made the decision to sell some of the pieces to my friends in the jewelry business or other creative people that could use these materials. These are all mother of pearl stones, all hand cut, and these were made for Swank, a big menswear manufacturer. Were all made into cufflinks, tuxedo studs, buttons, etc.
Oh my.
But right now I have a lot of people that do mosaic, and there is a truckload full of these. Yeah, these are German crystal paintings, as they call them. There's no people that can paint these stones anymore. I actually tried to find the people that made them, and all of them are either passed away or they're very old, and there's no one really that can do it anymore. Because it's all done with a tiny little brush and all by hand.
What type of persons do you think are interested in these components?
It could be people that make, of course, jewelry. It could be people that are in the fashion business. But it could also be people that are restoring, for instance, a glass window in a church, or to do stained glass, or as varied as someone that would make a set for the theater. So I would really encourage people, if they're interested in these materials, to come and look for themselves here in the warehouse. I hope you enjoyed the tour.
I did very much, and it is a cave of Alibaba.
I don't wanna be alone. Where is my
Bye.